All right, let's dive into something really powerful today. We're going to unpack a story about what it really means to grow, to be ambitious, and to face the hidden costs of reaching for your goals. It's all wrapped up in this incredible story, the parable of the tree on the mountain.
I mean, think about it. It's a feeling a lot of us know all too well, right? The more you achieve, the more you climb. It's like new, deeper challenges just seem to pop up from inside you. Well, that exact paradox is right at the very heart of this story. So, here's the path we're going to take through this parable. We'll follow a young climber's journey, starting with his bitter longing, and we'll end up understanding the true price of the crown. Okay, let's begin right where our story does, with a young man who's really struggling with the whole idea of his own ascent.
I want you to really picture this scene. You've got this solitary mountain, one single tree, and a young man, and his mind is just clouded with this gray mist of his own longing. He's looking up at the summit, but not with hope. No, it's with bitterness. He's actually mourning the loss of that quiet, simple, sun-drenched valley he left behind. And this is the core of his pain. Every single step he takes toward his goal, toward the light, feels like it's forcing him to confront some deeper, darker part of himself, you know? So for him, growth doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like he's being torn in two. So, just as this young man is completely lost in his despair, a wise traveler named Zarathustra shows up, and he's not there to offer some easy fix or a pat on the back. He's there to provide a powerful and, honestly, a kind of difficult new perspective.
Zarathustra just points to the tree. He makes this observation. He says, "Look, I can't shake this tree with my own hands, but there's this unseen force that can, the wind. And this invisible power, it tortures the tree, it bends it, and it completely shapes its existence."
And this is where it connects. Zarathustra sees that the youth is being shaken by that exact same kind of invisible force. This wind, well, it's his own ambition. It's that powerful drive inside him that tests him, shakes him to his core, and is ultimately what he needs to grow.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the central lesson. Zarathustra basically explains that the higher a person tries to rise up into the light toward the noble, the more their roots have to struggle downward into the earth, into what he calls evil, the deep, the dark, the primordial stuff. The two are completely inseparable. You can't have one without the other.
But just understanding this whole duality thing doesn't magically solve the youth's problem. Actually, this new wisdom reveals an even deeper kind of trap he's fallen into.
The youth just breaks down. He starts weeping. He admits he doesn't even trust himself anymore. He feels like all the noble parts of him are just withering away, that he's become a slave to the very heights he used to worship. He's terrified his whole climb isn't about growth at all, but about just running away from himself. Zarathustra's response here is just wow. It's so profound. He doesn't see the youth's despair as a failure. He sees it as a crucial stage. He tells him, "You've done it. You've achieved a kind of freedom, but now you've become a prisoner of that very freedom."
So what on earth does that mean? Well, the youth broke his old chains, the rules, the expectations of the group, the thou shalt of the herd. But in doing that, he's taken on a brand new, much heavier weight, the crushing, absolute solitude of the mountain. He's all alone with his ambition and his doubts.
And it's this loneliness that creates the biggest danger on this path. So now Zarathustra gives him this really stark warning about what happens when a climber's spirit starts to give out.
He describes this dangerous transformation, this state of becoming a hero, but a hero who has completely lost his purpose. He's now a wanderer who has finally found his own way, a really difficult, lonely path.
And in his exhaustion and his solitude, he realizes this new path of freedom is even more terrifying than the comfortable prison of conformity he left behind.
And this is the blueprint for that tragic fall. First, the spirit just gets tired of the climb. Then, the goal, that summit, it just disappears from view. After that, hope is totally abandoned. And finally, the climber falls back and becomes a cynic, someone who mocks the very ambition they once held so dear.
So to stop this from happening, Zarathustra gives this powerful command. He begs the youth not to give up, not to throw away the heroic part of himself, but to protect his highest hope and treat it as something sacred, no matter how tired he gets.
And all of this leads us to the final, clarifying lesson of the entire parable. This is where Zarathustra reframes the whole struggle, giving it real meaning and purpose.
The tree, he explains, it isn't enduring the wind and the darkness to impress the mountain or for any other outside reason. It's enduring all of it for its own sake, for the sake of its own ultimate blossoming. The purpose is entirely internal.
So the most crucial point is this. The hardship, the struggle with your own ambition, that journey into the dark parts of yourself, these are not signs that you're failing. Not at all. They are the necessary cost. They are the price you pay for the crown you are meant to wear.
And with this final, powerful image, Zarathustra reveals the core truth. To reach the sun, you have to have the courage to endure the dark. Greatness isn't just given to you, it's earned. Only by withstanding the storm does the tree become strong enough to hold something truly magnificent.
And so the parable ends. But its question, that lingers for us. It asks us to look at our own struggles, our own bitter longings and challenges, not as roadblocks, but as the very process that's shaping us for our own unique greatness, to look at our own roots in the dark, and to see them as the price we pay for reaching toward the sun.